Hope it was a good weekend. Real Kyper and Bourne show. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandale, Jen Rolnick for the next 2 hours. Wherever you're watching, listening, Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6 p.m. And if you can't catch us live, download us off your favorite pod platform and you'll find us.
Yep.
I believe they call that a pod catcher.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, your favorite
Also
pod catcher.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know how I feel about
I'll
it.
have to write that down. You have to write that down on your lineup,
Okay, I will.
which includes the Leafs snapping their 5-game losing streak at the Bell Center. They skate on to a 3-2 win Saturday night. Is that like their first win against a Eastern Conference team in like a gazillion years?
No, they beat Buffalo on Tuesday or whatever.
Regulation. I think it's regulation.
Regulation.
Yes.
Yes.
Was that not the weirdest week in Leafs? Since we've been doing this show, is that not the weirdest week? Buffalo, Boston, Montreal, trade deadline.
It was a crazy week.
Lots happened. And I feel like we got robbed of our Friday show because of the trade deadline after the Leafs had lost 4-1 in Boston.
Yeah.
We had lots to say. We kind of halfway did it.
And of course, this is our Leaf edition of this hour. And then we go national. But on Friday, it had a bit of a different feel because we went national right away.
Feel
Which
better in the
still people
non-national 4 o'clock.
And people still complained way too much Leafs on Friday.
Oh, yeah. They're never not going to complain about the amount of Leafs.
You know what's crazy is
People?
yeah, people. Is I go on and I say this hour is the Leaf edition of our program.
Yes.
Leafs hour, Leafs hour
Addition.
edition, and people will still write in and say, "You guys talk way too much Leafs in that first hour."
Someone filed a formal complaint with the CRTC that we talk about the Leafs too much. I think that happened. Someone filed a legitimate complaint about it. Like, whoa.
Okay, what part don't you get about the Leafs hour?
A lot, apparently. The whole concept.
Everything, in fact.
Hopefully, this was a nice warning.
We do not agree.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this is a nice warning for them if they are listening that what they can expect in the next hour.
Leafs. Hour.
All right, JB, let's start with you. We're going to get to our Kippers Clippers with Sheldon Keefe. We'll get his overview of Saturday night. You want to go first or you want to go to Sheldon?
Let's start with Sheldon.
All right, we're going right off the bat. Let's go to Sheldon Keefe, head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, on what he saw Saturday night.
I stayed with it. Obviously, you know, we got some great goals from guys, you know, whether it was Bobby starting the second period for us and sort of in essence responding for us giving up on the first shift of the first period. You know, and then Max, you know, 2 great plays. One to skate onto that puck that Yarncroc threw out to the neutral zone for him and to finish that. And then Max makes a great play to initiate the third goal as well with John driving to the net as well. So, you know, some great moments of really good goals at key times. And otherwise, we just stayed with it. Thought we got some saves from Sammy. We battled real hard. We didn't give up a whole lot. Didn't generate a whole lot either, but didn't give up a lot. And had some really strong efforts. Not just on those goals I talked about, but, you know, I thought the camp line today with McMahon and Nyes was outstanding.
So,
Yeah, okay.
So I'm of two minds about this game.
Okay.
Where there are certain games across sports that kind of rise above everything else, and you can kind of throw what the teams are doing and just that they're going to be close. And I really do feel like Leafs Habs is kind of in that air where regardless of how good the Habs are and how bad the Leafs are or vice versa, it really does feel like no matter when they play, it's a weird, tight game and weird things happen. And it's always kind of not good, but close at least. And I felt that way on Saturday night. It's hard to win that building for the Leafs. But the other side of it is, boy, they didn't look very good for the most of that game.
Yeah. I do feel like Sheldon was kind of taking it easy on him. You know, 4th game in 6 nights after the deadline. Like maybe it was some sort of, you know, they've been working. It's been a tough week or whatever. So you get the 2 points and you try not to say too much. Maybe it's one of those. But, yeah, I mean, they barely got their couple of points out of the Montreal Canadiens. It's not great. Didn't think they were awesome. You
two are pathetic.
Yeah. I knew it was coming.
What was it earlier? The flu, and now it's just like this is just the way it is. Toronto, Montreal, and now it's just like Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold.
End of a long week, you know.
Well, I'm not going to pretend those factors aren't relevant.
I'm just watching Saturday night, and I'm thinking, like, we're under 20 games. Is this the way you're starting to get ready to play Florida or Boston Bruins?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not think that the amount of hockey matters?
I think at this point that wherever you feel like you are in the standings, there needs to now be a little sense of urgency to starting to show signs that you're building towards something. That's all. And I would have thought the 2 games last week against Boston would have shown at least some of the players on the Toronto Maple Leafs where their intensity needs to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturday night didn't do it for me.
I gotta tell you, there's the positive and there's the negative angle to take. I'll start with the positive. I thought Nyes with McMahon and Kampf in the middle were really, really good. And I thought Nylander and Matthews were awful. Matthews for me had a really bad week, like his worst week of the season, where
maybe of his career,
like turning pucks over, can't make a play, no pop in his step. I don't even know how many shot attempts he got, but like this was a tough stretch for Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was you that said it in our group chat, like, did he have a good shift all week?
Yeah.
It really didn't feel like he was himself at all.
Yeah.
And, I mean, do you guys want to play the clip? There's a clip on the second sheet there about Matthew's struggles, and it's a bit of a long-winded answer. And all the question was like, how are you feeling about
what's happening?
Is it long-winded? And I've not heard it.
No.
Is it long-winded because he's trying to bail him out a little bit?
Well, I'll just let you have a listen to the clip,
sure it's
and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think there's some of that for sure. I think a lot of our guys seemed like they were getting worn down a little bit. Demands of the schedule, especially once we got past the Buffalo game, like that turnaround in Boston. That was as miserable a travel night as we've had all season, both in some of the challenges that we had. And Gardner was shut down that night, and we couldn't get to the airport. And the weather was bad in Boston, and customs and all the things we had to deal with.
Cookies were cold.
3 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to wake up and prepare for the Boston Bruins. So that was a tough stretch, and I think that led into Montreal as well. But specific to Austin, I think he had at least 2, maybe 3, but certainly 2 really clean chances where he's basically in alone on the goalie in Boston, and those didn't fall for him. Obviously, things have fallen a lot for him this season, and they will again. But he's somewhat of a historic type of pace that he was on. It's historic for a reason. It's difficult to maintain, but I think this break will be good for him.
Like right up there with the dog ate my homework, isn't it?
It is. It is. So we're in 2 different sides of this, because I do believe there's validity in
worn down.
And the Gardner was shut down.
Well, but
the Gardner was shut down.
It's post game. It's funny and all that. But these are factors. You go to bed at 3 o'clock in Boston and wake up and play the Bruins.
My battery ran out on my cell phone. How was I supposed to know you were trying to reach me?
Yeah.
But I'm a grump, so I get how, getting into Boston and getting up early, like that would faze me.
Yeah.
But I'm not on the Leafs.
What does bother me a little bit is the guy who's supposed to say, we don't make excuses, like whatever, is the guy who's like, wow.
How about the worn down part? I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
64 games in, worn down. What do we talk about the first 55 games? How much they played, the A team, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
If he's worn down, maybe you leaned on him a little bit too much for the first 64 games. How about that?
Sure. If that's, what this is, making the excuses. I think the thing we all agree on, you, me, Sam, Sheldon, Keefe, is that wasn't a good week for Austin.
Agree.
Whatever the case may be, you hope it's not worn down. The problem is that it implies that it could continue. That it's not like, it's a busy week, it was a lot, have a break here and be good to go. You hope he's not worn down. Hope he, a little blip there, because that wasn't great.
I really, really had a problem with the first 35 seconds and the 1-0 down Saturday night.
Yeah.
Specifically with Matthews and Nylander.
So, yeah, that was the Matthews turnover.
That was the Matheson goal.
The Matheson goal, yeah.
Right?
Labushkin turnover.
Labushkin, terrible.
Bertuzzi, terrible route, wrong coverage.
Between the time that Montreal was facing their defensive core was facing the glass on a forecheck by the Toronto Maple Leafs, 10 seconds later, it's in your own net. 10 seconds. And if you go watch the highlight of it again, there's the puck goes around to Labushkin, and he doesn't handle it cleanly. He's now turned around.
He smacks it into the middle of the ice.
But when he's
such a bad play.
when he's turned around, you can actually see Matthews and Nylander in the upright position, hoping that somehow he miraculously grabs the puck and feeds it back into them for another push in the offensive zone instead of just busting your ass to come back.
Right.
And when you see the play develop, Matheson has to be either Nylander or Matthews' man.
Well, I just watched it. Nylander shoulder to shoulder with him on the way out of the zone. So it's Nylander.
There was no sense of urgency for those guys to come back, either one of them.
No. I mean, it's a mess. The whole goal's a mess.
That's your man.
Yeah.
That's either.
And when it
either
isn't,
guy,
it's
man.
Bertuzzi's. It's a mess all over the ice.
Is that being worn down the first 30 seconds?
No, that's mental. That's all mental.
That's an issue for me.
Yeah. Not good. They pull it out. They get the 2 points on a game where I would say they didn't play great. The guys who deserve some credit, as I mentioned, I thought Camp McMahon-Nyes was a really interesting line. We've talked about the line structure, whatever. I think Matthew Nyes getting to go against worse competition, like taking him out of that top group and letting him play third lines with less pressure, I thought he looked like a different hockey player.
I think you hit it right on the nail. Just the less pressure of having to keep up or produce or do things right for Matthew and Marner all those games earlier in the season. I think he can relax a little bit more, thinking I don't have to produce. I don't have to be that man right now carrying the left side.
Is gravy, right? Like if you're on the third line, you produce something, everyone goes, oh, we got some depth scoring.
And I think it was Simmer that said it on Saturday night that he goes down there and he feels like he's the best player on that line.
Yeah.
Where as opposed to playing with Matthews and Marner, like you mentioned, the pressure. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like he's like, I got to win this board battle and get it to those two guys. Mm-hmm. When he's out there with McMahon and Camp, who are two great players, but different types of guys, obviously, it's nice for him to just be able to be like, I have this puck. I'm going to shoot this puck.
Yeah, it's a different way to think about the game. You're like,
I can't stress enough on coming out of junior hockey or college hockey and learning the pro game. How much time do you have? How comfortable are you holding on to the puck, making plays? This guy's still in the learning process. You can't learn it being on the number one line. Mm-hmm. You're too busy trying to please everybody, including, most importantly, Matthews and Marner.
And I think one thing we've learned over the years with Matthews and Marner is that they play this unbelievable two-man game, right? Like Mitch finds Austin, Austin finds soft spots. They kind of do their thing. And whoever has played with them really has not been a part of what they do. And I think that's okay. You almost need to embrace that and have a guy on that spot who just creates on his own and forechecks and does all the things you just want someone to do. A guy like Calle Yarncroc to me, who just shoot it. If it comes to him, he can shoot it in the net. Otherwise, he can forecheck. He can do all the little things. No one has had a ton of success in that spot, certainly not Matthew Nyes, so I hope he doesn't end up back there. Bertuzzi, by the way, rancid for me. In a game like that with space, when he's able to have time and space to make plays.
It's like a grenade.
He can't do it. He's great in tight games, but he can't play that kind of hockey.
Every puck blew up on him.
Would you guys like to hear the head coach's opinion on the top line?
Yes.
Clip 3, Derek?
They weren't very good.
Or do you think that can just be attributed to not having played before and practice or anything?
No, they just individually weren't very good. But it's a night where the group picked them up, so that's good.
Oh boy,
can you
had
please
no time to talk about them, eh?
Could you please save they weren't very good, Derek?
They suck. They weren't very good.
So, do we have a new appreciation for what Mitch Marner has done for Austin Matthews based on his bad week? No?
No, he was
No.
there for 3 of the 4 games.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mitch Marner's really good, and he makes Matthews better, but I don't think that's any excuse for what they look like on Saturday night.
It was brutal.
They weren't very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
See, I think, like, you need a guy that can handle the puck,
Yeah.
hold on to it, make plays.
In that sort of game, Marner is a dream.
And he didn't have a very good week,
Yeah.
but I'm watching Saturday night, and like you would have hoped Willie could have been able to kind of go in and do some things, but
Yeah.
he's struggling as well.
they don't have a
Both
lot
those-
of chemistry.
No, they don't. I agree. Both those guys just kind of wait for their spot to shoot it, right? Like Willie does it by carrying it. Austin does it by getting open. But yeah, without Mitch or someone to get them the puck, it's just like you're kind of waiting for one to bounce to him or something. It was not pretty. Certainly, listen, they're not going to win the playoffs without Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner is, the first or second most important thing on this team, depending if it's me or you talking.
I'm not even sure Mitch is enough, to be honest with you, and it hasn't been in the past. See, all Saturday night kind of did for me is reinforce if I am Boston or Tampa, or I'm Boston or Florida playing the Leafs in the first round, is you take away Mitch Marner, you'll take away Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
No, you said it. He finds the soft spots and he
Yes.
shoots it in the net.
Yeah.
But if
I mean, his goals
You
per
can-
game with and without
you-
Marner are the same. in his career.
you can find the soft spots, but if someone's not there to constantly feed those soft spots, you're taking a big part of Matthews out of the game.
Yeah, and I'd say for years, Kip, this is what teams have done. They say, these 2 guys need to be eliminated. They lean on them. Those 2 guys, so far in their careers, have shied away from that engagement, shut down, and the team is lost.
Mhm.
That's pretty, that's the extremely Cole's Notes version of what's happened. But I don't know, tough week all told. They get 4 points, which is good. And kind of
Forget
hanging
the
in
points now. They're almost irrelevant. We care more about how they look and how they play
Yeah.
than points. Is that fair to say now where they are in the standings?
Yeah.
Or is a win just a win now for you?
No. But I, unlike you, do not think that this team is, free and clear of pressure points wise. I still feel like, you want to make sure you can climb the standings or at least not get caught. But looking at it today, they're pretty far in both directions. So
It would take
I'm moving on to your page.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready to turn.
But the
it.
good news is there's, like you said, maybe it's Camp, maybe it's McMahon now, like a really nice goal,
awesome.
right? Really nice goal where he looked like a real NHLer, calm, didn't necessarily make his decision when he crossed the blue line, but as he started like 6 feet in, 8 feet in, it's like, I got the room. I'm letting this thing rip. I got a shot that can beat a goaltender clean now.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to see McMahon.
Yeah, it's funny too because he made the exact same play on Jack Guy at the end of the first period, poked it by him, and tried to make a backhand sauce, and was like, "Next time, what am I doing? I'm in alone in the Bell Center. I could shoot it."
The old Wi-Fi was down on Saturday night. Boy, he did not have a good
Struggles,
game. Oof.
Yeah, he's fringe NHLer.
Yeah, he was.
when looks like
he had
that.
a tough go.
Let's
on
get
Saturday.
Sheldon Keefe's thoughts on Bobby McMahon.
Yeah, he had 2 other 2-on-1s tonight where he floated some passes over, which I thought I wish he had shot those ones. So if he starts shooting those ones, then maybe we can say that. But I just thought he played an outstanding game with lots of confidence, and he was just strong, hard on the puck, lots of urgency to his game. I thought their team had a hard time handling him. So it was a really good showing for him. He's he obviously had a real strong push for us a couple weeks back, and then it sort of leveled off a bit. And then here tonight again at a time. It's a tough stretch for us here. 4 games and 6 nights in 3 cities, and we needed some big efforts from guys, and Bobby certainly stepped up for us.
Now,
How did this happen with Bobby McMahon?
UFA this summer. Do you think?
I was just about to bring that up. I'm like, does that does that matter at this point? I mean, you're in the here and now, but he might be shaping himself up for a nice contract next year.
Fine.
He's fighting for it.
Let him play well enough to earn an NHL contract for the Leafs this season. Like,
he's 27 years old. He'll be 28 next season. He's got 10 goals this year, in 40 games, which 20-goal pace. I don't think he's a 20-goal scorer, but if he can kill penalties out there in the last minute in some cases, if he can be out there in those situations, kill penalties, shoot 15, 20 in the net for you, you give him 2 by 1.25 right now?
Done.
How much?
2 times 1.25.
I'll go back to what Sammy said, that if he can have a good run here, he's going to earn a lot more money than that. A lot more.
Like you think if
he'll be like no,
we're in Toronto here. Every team has a guy like this that goes out and plays well, and then the people are like, "Oh, he's going to make $3 million." Can a guy just sign for like one?
No,
does it have to?
We can't.
No, we just build these guys up, and they get them paid way more than they deserve, and they go somewhere else, and they don't live up to it.
It's called NHL business.
No, but it doesn't happen if Bobby McMahon is on the Arizona Coyotes or Florida.
It does.
No,
you just don't pay attention to it.
Not like
you're a
this.
Leaf lover.
Not like this.
Okay?
Not like
just
this.
like this.
No.
This is the way it works, Sammy.
No,
all right, so 18 games left.
He's Labushkin, guys. Labushkin.
He got the money
we
here,
had the
didn't he?
same conversation about Labushkin. We're like, he's going to be a UFA, and he's going to outprice himself. Labushkin went and got 2.75 somewhere else, and now he's back on the Leafs. And good on them, but it wasn't cheap. It cost them more assets to bring him back.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the money to pay for him. And listen, I don't want to derail this conversation, but if this guy has a good run and a good finish, he's going to make 2+ next year on a UFA deal.
So 27-year-old ECHLer who cleared waivers to start this year has 10 goals in a season. It's like, $3 million a year.
It's not
what?
The 10.
No
if he finishes this year with 14 goals and scores 2 or 3 in the playoffs.
14 goals in how many games? Give me his numbers over the course of 82 games now.
What do you think I can do math?
Yeah, you can.
It's very easy. He's got 10 and 40. That's 20 goals.
Yeah. Can he be a 20-goal scorer right now?
No, I don't think so.
Well, then what are you putting him in a position to kind of be that important for you to begin with then?
He's a good contributor. But I just feel like anytime somebody surprises that's a UFA in Leafs land, he immediately is worth $3 million somehow.
I mean, it's up to him now. It's up to him and what he can look like from here on in and be a contributor in the first round. I'm not saying he will or he won't. I'm saying if he gets any consistency on the good McMahon that we've seen, he's worth a hell of a lot more than $1.2 million.
It's funny.
To another team.
I saw some quote where he was asked about like when you got that hat trick or whatever, did it just click for you? And he was like, no. He's like, maybe I felt a little better about my spot on the team, but like I've kind of felt the same about my game. Like he thinks this is who he is.
Yeah.
This is not like he's having a blip. He's like, finally, I'm here now.
There's a presence with him a little bit.
Finally, somebody noticed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's like, okay, it's working.
I don't
now.
know I don't know how do you what category you put it in, cocky or arrogant or just
in
extremely
a way that works
confident.
For you, right? Like,
so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. If Bobby McMahon plays well enough to earn $2.5 million per season with another team the rest of this year, because the Leafs won the cup and he won the Conn Smythe. Like that's like, let's do it. Like honestly,
could be enough just winning a first round.
No, well, I mean, how many goals did you have to score in the first round to get $2.5 million?
I don't know. They won the first one last year. No one seems to give a damn.
2.5 might be a stretch.
Yeah,
but 1.82. He's in the ballpark here. He's UFA. He's free for any other team to pick him up.
Yeah,
just got outpaid.
Right.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm not saying he's Labushkin going to make 2.75 because Labushkin had to also be a right-handed defenseman who are at a premium right now.
Love Bobby, though.
Bobby has come a long way.
He really has.
All right.
New guys?
A couple new additions.
New additions. You guys want to go to Sheldon or you want to get some thoughts out early?
Let's go Sheldon.
Sure.
I think both guys are just well, they're different. Obviously, you got Edmundson with a ton of experience in the league, and Dewar not as much. Both guys, to me, are just very smart and know exactly who they are and what they need to do on the ice. Edmundson, you come to expect it. This guy's won Stanley Cups and played deep in the playoffs a lot, and veteran defenseman. But Dewar, I'm just really impressed with his overall awareness and intelligence on the ice. He made some great plays today. I think there was one on the penalty kill. I think there's a read there. We need to get him to close on that quicker. But I thought throughout the game he had really good sticks. He's in good positioning for a guy that has no practices and doesn't, is learning our system. This morning on video, and then have to play the center ice position. I thought did a really good job. So I like what both guys bring.
Dewar had a little over 11 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What did Kevin Bieksa call him? The fire hydrant or the, what was his nickname for him? Oh, the pit bull?
The pit bull.
The pit bull.
Yeah. And he said, I don't know if you would like that nickname. You don't want to. You would love that nickname. It's an incredible
me
nickname.
that. I'm not stopping. No one, by the way, has ever called me that.
I have never. Yeah, maybe. Only thing I've ever called the golden retriever.
As loyal as hell.
Hush puppy.
Yeah. The Dewar thing, though, did you happen to see the interview he gave?
Oh, my God.
Before the game with Bukauskas?
I did not see it.
Oh, my God.
Short?
Yeah.
37 seconds, including him walking out and three questions.
Three questions, enter and exit, 37
All in 37 seconds.
Yeah, and it was just like, this guy's dead serious about being a hockey player, and he's honored to be here and to be a Leaf.
Yeah, I like that.
They asked him about what it's like being, from the PA, which is, small town Manitoba, and he was like, it's everything I am. I'm a scrappy hockey player from up north. And Bukauskas was like, back to you. It was very endearing, to be honest.
We got too many guys that over talk.
Too much
I
showtime
welcome
here.
that.
Yes, this
right?
guy.
Just go and play, pal.
Yeah.
Leave the interviews to mouthy teammates.
I actually think that's a really good point. This guy just wants to be a hockey player.
He walked out. His face was soaking wet, drenched from sweat.
Like he warmed up like it was business.
He looks like from Central Casting for like Slapshot or Goon or something where, you guys played so much hockey in your life. The quiet guy off the ice oftentimes is the most squirreliest and the weirdest on the ice.
Is it Patrick Bateman from American Psycho?
Yeah.
He's got this sort of one length hair that's not been Toronto-fied yet. He's from the PA. Yeah. Love the guy. He's a new fan favorite.
So with him,
I will say he's not very big.
He's not very big. And he plays bigger.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yes.
But there's something to be said still about, what is he, 5'10"?
Yeah. He's light. He's plays, as you said, bigger, and he does everything he needs to do to stay in the league at his size.
It's nice when you got 6'2", 6'3" guys.
Didn't know that he played over 400 minutes with Reeves last year. Mm-hmm. That they mentioned a few times on the broadcast. So I guess as much chemistry as you can have with Ryan Reeves. I guess they got a bit of chemistry together.
Where do you?
It's all your snap and pass.
Does nothing for me.
Yeah.
Where do you guys ultimately see Dewar in terms of game one in the playoffs? What's the ideal?
Yeah, he'll play fourth line center.
And Camp at 3?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like, and I've had this conversation a couple of times today, Nyes and McMahon are both rookies, but they're both kind of big and hardworking guys with some, whatever. I like that Camp frees them up to do their thing. I know he's not going to help them offensively, but you're paying Camp $2.5 million or whatever, 2.25. He's been a part of this for years now. He's played 15, 16 minutes a night in previous years. You can play him at 3C with those two guys and let them, be involved. For me, I understand it's best case scenario probably if he's your fourth line guy, but yeah, Dewar's going to play fourth line center.
Tavares moves back in. He scores the game-winning goal. Domi, Tavares, Yarncroc, you ever see that in the first round?
No. I mean, it's possible. Marner's going to come back and bump Nylander.
To me, it's just.
I still want them across three lines. Those guys.
To me, it's just. You do?
Yeah.
I think once game one starts, Tavares just goes back into that 2C.
Yeah.
I really feel like
I just said I
like
Camp McMahon, Nyes, and you can't put Tavares back there. That changes that line.
He's also started a lot more power plays. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's better than Bertuzzi on the power play.
for sure.
I do. I think he pops into the slot like when the puck goes low to Mitch. Like he's a better option. We know we can finish in tight. Like Bertuzzi's good there, but I really like Tavares.
Maybe we got through the stretch there where we were like talked about every day how Bertuzzi was cursed and he would never score again.
Yeah.
And then he scored a few and we got through that. And now Keith's like, okay, now it's time to put the better player on the top power play unit again.
So what was the just to build up to Bertuzzi?
Get him.
So it was always a temporary thing, you think? Or was there any long-term?
No, I think it was a confidence thing. Try to get him in a better, like, hey, you're helping out sort of thing. Do you have a different feeling on that?
Yeah, I just think it was probably a failed experiment.
Yeah. So you don't think Bertuzzi's the guy there either, but more because he's just can't do it in the same.
Bertuzzi or John can't do it as a second line guy to carry the offense.
You're saying both can't?
I'm saying like John went an incredibly long time for scoring even strength goals, but can you build John back up so he can be a real threat on a second line again?
Do you think they can?
I don't know where his legs are.
You're not liking him lately, are you?
No. I think he's slowed down, and I think there's some concerns there for sure.
Made a nice play on Saturday. Beat whoever that was to the middle of the ice and bounced one in off his groin. But
like he'll get those goals, right? He'll get to
he'll get those goals, but those are the same goals that you want Gregor to score, like off your ass. Those are my goals.
Yeah.
And they're good for Matthews and Tavares. I'm not saying you don't want them to score those goals, but
they're not coming in addition to the skill plays.
They're not coming in addition.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, Matthews and Tavares have to, like I've been watching Boston, you watch Florida, they move the puck. They get a really good push from their center ice positions as distributors. Mm-hmm. And, it goes back to my long age-old art, that they just, I know they can shoot the puck in the net, but moving the puck, seeing consecutive passes, 4, 5.
You don't think Edmundson and Lyubushkin are going to help that? We'll get to the D.
Yeah, that's, for me, I'd like to see those guys really push in the next 15, 16 games, a real conscious effort to be distributors, to start really making plays and keeping plays alive.
Do you think it's better for the team to ask guys to be what they've never been? Like John Tavares has never been that.
You know what I think? I think they're so talented that if you really put an emphasis on an ask and they consciously go out there and try to execute, I think they're capable of doing anything.
Yeah. I was just thinking while you were talking, like I think it's a reasonable question. Who do you think scores at a higher goals per game pace this season and next? Is it Tavares or McMahon?
Tavares.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Tavares has just scored his 20th goal. He's probably going to finish the year with 25.
Yeah.
Second half of the year has slowed down from the start.
Yeah. He's still on pace for under 60 points for the season, which would be the first.
Listen, you're right. He's minus 130 on that.
Limb here, but it's Tavares.
Yeah. I think you're probably right, but I don't think it's that big a gap.
He hasn't
and also, if you flip their opportunities, it might be different.
This will be his worst productive season since his rookie season, if I'm not mistaken, under 60 points, maybe 50, 55 in his rookie year.
Every person who saw his 7-year contract said, the last 2 years, I'm a little concerned.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing why. I don't think he's ineffective yet, but
But is he strong enough to carry a second line behind Matthews? And he is right now when you look at the options. But is that ideal for a team that's trying to compete for a Stanley Cup?
No. But then are you making a point that just the Leafs are screwed?
I don't know if they're screwed, but I don't know if they're screwed unless John can pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not writing him off. He's a competitor and he trains his ass off. And there's some nights when he has live legs. And he looks, he can look the part.
You and I talked to Chris Versteeg over the weekend on deadline day there. And one of the things he said with camp was like, put him between a couple of offensive guys who just need a conscience out there. Put him between Nylander and Domi or something like that. Like, I'm just trying to think of ways to get Tavares onto the third line, onto a place where he plays 16 minutes and can still whatever. You don't have a lot of options at center. So could you see something like that working?
Listen, I can see a lot of juggling. Yeah. That's what I can see. Still to be determined. What the lineup can look like in game one is anyone's guess.
Truth serum time for me.
Let's have it.
Watching that game Saturday night, and leading up to the deadline, you watch every game, and you're like, whatever they bring in here will improve this group, and you're waiting on reinforcements. I watched Saturday night. I'm like, boy, wish they had a couple reinforcements.
Okay,
honestly, we can talk about that more after the break, but I don't know.
All right, which includes a conversation on Edmundson, who made his Leaf debut Saturday night.
In general.
We'll talk about that edition after the break. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, more real Kyper and Bourne after these words. All right, we're back. Edmundson made his debut. What caught me off guard was the price that the Cord group had to pay to get him in the lineup, which meant taking out Simone Benoit. How surprised were you to hear that?
I was surprised. I was very surprised when I drew up my mock lineup. I thought they would have taken Liljegren out. But it does get to something which we actually meant to talk about on this show and didn't really, which Benoit hadn't been very good for a few weeks. He had a tough couple of weeks with turnovers, defending, whatever. And I think they probably noticed and said, maybe we'd prefer a guy with NHL playoff experience just in case in that spot.
I won't disagree with you in terms of maybe his play leveling off a little bit. For me, though, I don't think it was that bad that he would have been the first guy I would have taken out of the lineup. And I know it's a hard decision for Sheldon. And for me, it could have easily been TJ Brody. Easily. But you run the risk of also losing Brody.
Yeah, that's a much bigger statement, right?
That's a much bigger statement. And you run the risk of losing him or putting him in a deeper hole to come out of. And I don't think they were willing to risk that.
Yeah. It's your point, though. He's been struggling. He could probably use a little breather, like a little step out of the lineup. Liljegren, I'm surprised, was not the name that you mentioned. He's having his annual spring. Are we sure we can use this guy's run of games here? I did hear a Keefe quote. I don't know if it's this one that we have, Sammy, but where he says that he felt that him being taken out of or they traded for people to be in his spot in the playoffs last couple of years, and that it affected his confidence. All right, let's listen to that.
Clip 5.
I thought the sequence that led to this penalty was a tough moment in the game for him and for our team. Those are the kind of things we got to keep working with him to eliminate from his game. But I thought they had a real good first period for us. Maybe not as good after that, but again, I think that will continue to grow as I talked about this morning. I think this is a key time for Lily, right? If we go back the last 2 years, each time at the trade deadline we've added and it's essentially pushed him out of the lineup, which I thought has affected his growth and his confidence and all those kind of things. And I felt at the time he did it out of necessity as we needed to get deeper there. But I think Lily's taken a step through this season. At times has played really well. And at times it's taken a step back. And I think part of that probably is that, with the trade deadline kind of hanging over his head a little bit. We're through that here now. We got a veteran player like Edmundson come in. That's why it was important for Lily to play tonight. And this is kind of, when Treaty built the team out, this was the 6 guys that now it was built. But we love the depth and what Benoit's brought to us and his ability to come in. But Lily playing tonight was important, and it's important for us to continue to work with him.
This was the 6 guys and how it was built is a huge line to me. Like Tree Living saw when he built the 6 guys, Liljegren not coming out. This was about improving on Benoit and keeping another righty in the lineup at Liljegren.
For me, at this point, at this juncture of the season, to put Edmundson in and take Simone Benoit out is at best a wash. I don't see Edmundson as a huge upgrade from Simone Benoit. I don't. I see big, I see strong, but I also see might be a little difficult to go from the corner or the sideboards to in front of the net real fast here. Like, so left-handed shot. Now we're back to the same conversation before the trade deadline is you never, okay, you got Lyubushkin, but sure could have used maybe another right-handed shot and envisioned Edmundson and Benoit. Maybe it's too much. I don't know, but I just didn't see Benoit coming out this early.
I think a lot of this vibe is how much we've all enjoyed the surprise that has been Benoit. And I understand that. I'm not saying Edmundson is fleet of foot or is in his prime or is whatever.
Well, he has dropped off since winning a cup.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Of course. Yeah, he definitely has. I agree. But, you know, to be your third pair guy who kills penalties, you know, he's gone to 2 Stanley Cup finals in the past 4 years, sorry. You know, that experience in those big games under pressure, I think Benoit's probably more talented at this point in his career, but just to be able to be composed, and he's been in those moments in playoffs.
No, I get that.
I'm fine with it.
I get that.
But there's no thought of you that, you know, Liljegren hasn't been great for a long time here. Like,
I hated his penalty.
Oh, Kyper, I've hated
behind
watching
the net,
him play for
feet not moving.
a couple weeks here. And then you see his body language. The second he takes a penalty, he puts his head in the air. He's like hanging his head. He knows he's fighting it. Like, to me, on a Saturday night in Montreal, in Simone Benoit's hometown, I think Liljegren was eligible to be scratched.
Yeah, that actually stinks that Benoit didn't get to play.
I know we're not doing contests here, and I know it's not, and it's the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
But to me, it was very unlike Keefe to do that.
I think that they really are wary about saying to Liljegren, again, we made a trade at deadline. Again, you're the guy who we don't think is enough.
What are we doing here?
We're trying to keep his confidence intact so he can play.
But I guess they held on to him past the deadline. Like, very obvious move for me is bringing Edmundson in. And I know Liljegren shoots right, but at some point, like, regardless of which hand you shoot, if you're hurting them every game, you play. Benoit and McKee have played together all year. I know he has been great. But if I'm asking on a whole who I'd rather have in the lineup come game 1 of the playoffs, Liljegren or Benoit, I can tell you it's a very resounding Benoit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's just...
Any concerns over the fact that you just don't have anyone who can skate and move the puck and break it out? Like,
yeah, but does Liljegren really do that?
When he's good, I think good Liljegren does.
In theory.
Good Liljegren does for sure.
Listen, again, I get depth. I get even Simone Benoit being the 7th defenseman if someone gets hurt and coming in and filling a good hole. I get all of that. But to your point, I still look at this blue line and go, oh my gosh, how much pressure is on Morgan Rielly right now?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
might
not
be
even
the
a
most
close
important guy that is named Matthew Smarter.
There's no
goalie.
There's no 1B.
No.
And that's what ultimately you would have hoped at some point that, hey, they signed Klingberg for that reason.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go back to September and go, why did they go get Klingberg? It's because he was a nice alternative to Morgan, even on the power play.
It's the Liljegren stuff that he can move his feet, break pucks out, and do some power play stuff.
And shoot the puck.
Yeah.
And just give a different look.
Yep.
And, okay, it's fine you tried it. But then you're like, well, you gave up on it.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, we need to fill this problem. And then
you filled it, and it didn't work out well. And then you got to write off his contract, but you didn't go out there and try to fill it in again.
Yeah.
You know, I am more bullish on the Leafs than hearing Sammy before the break. Like, I think they can beat that Boston team. I thought certainly some circumstances and some number of reasons it didn't go great this week. I think they can beat that team. But I do think that Tree Living's deadline said that he's hesitant about this team at best.
Yeah. And like they're not walking through that door. You know, whatever the reinforcements. And you look at that D-core, it's like, this isn't good enough. This is not good enough.
Listen, you're not going to make any judgments until you get to see Matthews, Marner, and Nylander back at the height of their game, right? That's when you go, okay, and a hot goaltender.
Yeah.
and take your chances. But you got 15 other teams are saying the same thing.
One of the things I think the Leafs are betting on is more players who will not make the mistake, and just hope you can hang around enough games that your guys can be the game breakers. I think Edmundson at least very much knows what he is. I'm not a huge Edmundson booster or anything, but I think he at least knows how to be the guy they wanted in that spot.
Big mean man.
Okay, we got a few minutes before we go to break again.
Do you want to hear Keefe on Dewar and Edmundson, or do you want to go to goalie?
No, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on because we got to have a conversation on the goaltending situation because we are 18 games to go.
I know.
And we've got Samsonov now with a 12-3 in his last 15.
Wins and losses. What are we doing here?
237, 911.
Now we're talking.
Paper looks good.
Yeah.
Paper looks good.
At that arbitrary cutoff point, absolutely.
So where are you now in terms of
Joe Wall's agent over here just
No. I just think it's really funny. All of a sudden, we're looking for the best. Here's the cutoff where he looks like a good goalie.
Are you playing the next 18 games as if you are driving Samsonov to game one in the playoffs, or is this 18 games to still give Wall a chance to regain and drive him into game one?
Yeah. Well, I think the way they used the goalies this week tells you what they thought of them going into this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way that this week went with these goalies may have changed some opinions, including my own, on what happens when we get to game one in the postseason. Now, I will say, I am a big believer in look at the schedule. You know, like the Seattle Kraken won 9 games and we went, holy smokes. Then you go non-playoff teams. Capitals are hot, non-playoff teams. The Oilers win 16 straight. I think they played 2 playoff teams. I'm not about to say Samsonov's back because he beat Buffalo and Montreal and the other kid lost to the best team in the Atlantic, or second best.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm not sold either way. How about you?
I can't buy into Samsonov right now.
Not there yet. Some people are very there.
And I don't know if I will.
Scarred? Are you just scarred from the early of the season?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, correct.
Which is fair.
Not to be.
Which is fair.
Samsonov had me after beating out Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to have to do for me in the first round, is come out of the first round being the goaltender. And then I'm like, okay. But until then, I think it's open. I think what do we got? We got Philadelphia Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's Joseph Wall's start, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Agreed. How about you?
Yep.
It's a big question. It depends if they've changed their mind to being kind of pro Samsonov or not. Do we know who they have Saturday?
Carolina. And their fancy new St. Pat's jerseys.
Ooh, tough call.
To me, I think, and Bunkus has talked about this a lot in this show. We talked about a lot on Leafs Talk. It's very clear who they want to win this battle.
They want Wall to win the battle.
Absolutely. But when push comes to shove, I don't think you can let that get in the way of if he's playing better. It's too bad.
You're right.
And I think Wall's a better goalie.
When do you decide better? Do you decide
it ain't now?
It's not now. It's not beginning of April.
Who did they play last game of the season?
April 16th against Florida. April 17th against Tampa. Then we decide who's starting game one.
Do you not think that's the correct answer? Because I do.
I think it's the correct answer.
Because one of these guys, neither's been good enough to say, who cares what happens down the stretch? He's our guy.
Yeah.
We care what happens down the stretch here at Real Kyper and Bourne.
I agree.
Quick hour, boys.
I know.
Very quick hour.
So much talk. Do we mention Dewar?
Yeah, we did. We mentioned
We talked about
I'm sorry, him being a bit of a squirrel out there. Yeah.
All right, we're just getting started. We kick it into our national hour after the break, where we'll welcome in Jeff Chychrun, former NHLer, roommate of mine, and Panthers TV analyst. We'll get our thoughts on a potential Toronto, Florida first round.
We can't talk about Toronto on the national hour. CRTC is going to get called by.
But JB and I are fine. It's you they hate out west.
That's true.
That's actually legit.
100% true.
All right. Back after these words. Welcome back into the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. This is our national hour. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365 365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In the next few minutes, we'll welcome in Jeff Chychrun, who covers the Florida Panthers as a TV analyst, former NHLer, a roommate of mine with the Hershey Bears, won a Calder Cup in 1988. That means nothing to you guys back then.
That was the year I was born, Kippy.
Was it?
Yeah.
We just saw a glimpse of his office before he
Thanks,
comes
Sammy.
on. Thanks. He's living right. That's all I
Yeah.
got to say.
Yeah.
Your boy's doing well.
He is. All right. So as early as last week, I said, boys, we're the playoff races. We have no playoff races in the NHL.
Nothing.
And now with the work of Patrick Waugh in the island, your Islanders, JB, have been resuscitated.
Yes.
He applied the paddles to them.
He did. The
and
Islanders,
they are in a playoff spot.
6 straight wins. And the biggest thing about it all is it's not fool's gold. They no longer are spending all this time in their D zone. They're first or second in expected goals for. Like they're doing things differently, and it's starting to work. So I'm a buyer of the Islanders, even though I already had plenty of stock. I'm buying more.
Here's who they have beaten, because you like to do this, I know.
Yes.
They beat the Stars in overtime.
Real team.
Beat the Red Wings, a team that they're directly
Yeah,
chasing.
They're real.
They beat the Boston Bruins 5-1. They beat the St. Louis Blues 4-2. San Jose Sharks 7-2, and the Ducks 6-1. So there you go.
Not all fool's gold.
Nope.
You mentioned one of those losses to the Detroit Red Wings.
Oof.
They've also lost to Florida. They've also lost to Colorado, bad 7-2. Arizona 4-0.
The Red Wings, yeah.
Vegas. That's the invitation.
Yeah, they let everyone back into it. Detroit did.
All right, as promised, Jeff Chychrun's going to join us from the lovely estate. Buddy, listen, whatever you say for the next 10 minutes or so, our guys won't hear a word of it because they're looking at all your memorabilia.
No, we're looking at the palm trees.
Off of the Zoom. You've got the 40-foot ceilings. For those of you that aren't watching right now, we've got Jeff Chychrun on Zoom, and it looks like the place you never want to leave.
Hi, Nick.
How are you, buddy?
You see the Bears jersey right there for you, buddy? I wanted to make sure you saw that one.
There it is.
We got it. Yeah, we got a little bit of it. That has to be the playoff jersey where we didn't lose one game during the playoffs.
Didn't lose a game.
12-0 to win the championship.
No big deal.
No big deal.
I'm not sure anybody's done that since, or we were a pretty good group. Put a bunch of us back in the National Hockey League too, Nick, looking back.
Well, we know teams are more than welcome to try to tie it. We know you can't do better than it, which is an awesome feeling. So how are you, and how are things down south besides your lovely home?
Yeah, thanks, buddy. We're really good here. Lucky enough to follow the Panthers around. Obviously, I follow the Sens a little bit too, which is a little bit tougher. That's why my hair is a little grayer these days. But we're good here. Thanks very much. Really enjoying the run. I was down at Panther practice this morning, and it's pretty jovial down there right now, I must admit.
Well, we're going to get into that, and we may ask you a little bit about the Sens as well. But first and foremost, what's it been like following the Panthers? It was almost a surreal moment watching Paul Maurice snap on the Toronto Maple Leafs last March on the bench, and since then they've been the best team in the National Hockey League, in my opinion. It's phenomenal, the run that they've been on last year in the playoffs and how it's absolutely bled into the regular season. Just give us your thoughts of the way this team has turned around in a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, it's been something, hasn't it? The buy-in, every we're in a lot of rooms, and we sort of hear they talk about the buy-in, and you never know if it's a song, a dance, or but it seems like every game, post game, there's someone mentions it. The other day it was Kevin Stenlund. It could be Matthew Tkachuk. It could be Barkov. Anthony Stolarz brings it up when you're talking to him. So there's something of that mix. But I'll never forget that game either, Nick. I think Mo actually I think he turned it went a little postal on them. But, it definitely was a turning point, or maybe it was just something that had to be said because they do pride themselves so much in that. I believe it was a turnover by Carter Verhaeghe in the neutral zone that led to a goal, and they just don't seem to do those things very often. And but whatever it was, it certainly helped. But yeah, they talked since Paul Maurice got here, and I talk about it till I'm blue in the face. The first practice he had there, he said we did a lot of stuff 3 feet from the boards, sort of being on that right side of the puck. And playing what he would call the right way. And, they seem to live by that. And really, they're so deep now. They got 3 lines really that can score, it seems. And their energy line, centered by Kevin Stenlund, you got Lomberg and Cousins. But yeah, sort of long-winded, Nikki. It's impressive how they've really come together in a period of time. But I do go back too. I was talking the other day, they had two runs with Bill Zito as the general manager against Tampa, and they lost the first one in 7 games, lost the next year in round 2 before he brought in his guy. And I feel like this has definitely been learned behavior. Barkov's in his 11th year, Ekblad's in his 10th. So these are the guys they drafted to lead the franchise.
Yeah. So every time we turn on the highlights here, it seems like they're in a street fight with someone. This is a team that's atop the Atlantic Division, but every other game it feels like it's just melees going on. What part of that confrontational nature, how important is it to who they are that they have this element of combativeness?
Yeah, it's definitely competitive, right? I think I mentioned, I think Sam Bennett really does a lot to bring them into that fight and sort of lead by example in that regard, along with the skill level he brings. Obviously, Matthew Tkachuk, he's very good at stirring things up. But it's really a team toughness. I mean, even that 4th line, they've got Ryan Lomberg, who's feisty as can be, but not the biggest guy in the world. So it's really a sort of a team toughness thing. I think, or just, what do you call it? What type of aggression that they use as a group. And it's easy to back up sometimes too, when you either have the lead or you're confident enough to get that lead. So, without taking the bad penalties, I think they are pretty high in the league. They kill a lot of penalties. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I don't know, but they do get in a lot of those, and perhaps it's the other team wanting to sort of stir it up physically, maybe try to get them off their game, but controlled aggression was a term I was looking for with a lot of discipline.
We're talking to Jeff Chychrun, former NHLer, Panthers TV analyst. So, Chick, when we talk about the players like you just mentioned, Sam Bennett and Tkachuk, who drag you into the fight, who are the players on this roster that have maybe even surprised you, that maybe you didn't think had a willingness to be dragged into a fight that are now?
Yeah. Well, you see everybody sort of getting, I think people were surprised. I saw Oliver Ekman-Larsson for 5 years in Arizona as a parent teammate. And he doesn't, there was not a big team out there the 5 years I was out there where my son played with him. And it seemed like on a nightly basis, he had to defend himself. And he's very good with the pushback. You got Dmitry Kulikov on the back end, who's never afraid to sort of stick his nose in it. And Nick Cousins is another one. I think he's kind of well known around the league. They just signed Gadjevich to a 2-year deal, which he's really earned. Didn't have a lot going on. I think he was actually hurt in training camp. But everybody sort of sticks their nose in. Sam Reinhart's not afraid to, get involved physically if someone gives him a push or as he's driving the net. So I don't know if anybody surprises me. And if I look at it, I suppose, Brandon Montour is another one that plays a pretty skilled yet pretty tough brand of hockey on the blue line. Maybe goes a little bit understated. But again, it's overall it's a mentality, I guess, right, with the group. And maybe that's part of their plan too, Nick. When they get on the ice, they want to see if they can goat the other team into a bad one for a couple minutes. But but it's interesting to watch.
So just on that topic, I got to ask you about Nick Cousins, easily the most hated guy in the league this year. So I haven't watched enough to understand that. Is he beloved by his teammates, or are there sometimes a few nights when even a teammate can go, would you knock it off?
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, he plays up and down the roster too. I'm not even sure from where I stand. I mean, I watched that game in Arizona, and he got drilled from behind. And sort of look at the play. I can't remember the defense's name, had the mask. But I didn't even think he looked terribly upset. But then he just got drilled from behind, missed quite a bit of time. Yeah, I think he is. He's the guy that he definitely, plays up and down the lineup. He played on the second line for a couple of weeks there. They took Rodriguez off the first line. Verhaeghe went up, and he sort of substituted in there for a little bit till they filled that hole with Tarasenko. I believe he is pretty loved. He sits beside Matthew Tkachuk in the practice facility. I noticed there today, and I think they got a pretty good thing going with him.
Jason Zucker?
Yes, Jason Zucker. No, who was the defenseman?
Branson.
That's I forgot about that one.
There's a few on his list.
Well, they're adding up now.
So they had I won't say a quiet deadline. They added Vlad Tarasenko. How did that make them better? Do you think it's a fit for what this team needed?
Yeah. So if you listen to Bill Zito, I think it's a real fit. It was impressive on Saturday. I'll tell you, 2 goals, a helper, could have had 3. Thing I noticed about him when he came from St. Louis, I heard it from a St. Louis Blue that they didn't think Vladdy wanted the puck until, he sort of exited the defensive zone and sort of came through the middle of the ice. And what I saw in Ottawa could have been the complete opposite. I mean, I thought he was really responsible in his own zone. I thought he really worked hard to get down low to support the defenseman, and did a lot of things on the other side of the puck that really impressed me. He was plus 13 on that Ottawa roster, which he might have been leading the club when he was traded. So when you translate that and you come to this team here, and all of a sudden he's playing with Barkov and Reinhart. The first game he was okay. He'd flown all night to get here. Then the other day it was lights out. Little chemistry. I didn't realize Tarasenko's father and Barkey's father played together many years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was brought up the other day. So Fitz, I think it was a very economical trade. They didn't pay a big price to get him, I don't think, and no players left the room. He was very concerned about disrupting the apple cart and the emotion of that locker room. Added Tarasenko and Okposo without anybody leaving. So, yeah, I think it could be a really good fit. He's got that, obviously, Stanley Cup pedigree, wants to win. His family he had bought a place here in Weston, Florida, a year ago. So his family stayed here all year. I know he had an older boy who was in Ottawa, I believe, was playing minor hockey there. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of positives with him there.
Hey, Jeff, when we often hear the term best player in the world, names are dropped, McDavid, McKinnon, Matthews, but seldom do we hear Barkov's name. Like, you watch him every day.
Yeah. Unlike
a lot of people that don't. How good is he when you want to compare him to the great centers in our game?
Right. Is he ever? Like, I know he was that number 2 pick, I believe, behind McKinnon that year. But he's got that big frame. He takes a lot of the defensive zone faceoffs, right? But that big frame, he creates so many outnumbered situations because he's able to carry defenders with him and force an open lane. And whether he's on the power play or regular stream, but he is that special talent, the way he skates and gets up and down the ice. Really unselfish too. You see a lot of, he's not shooting the puck. I wish he'd shoot the puck more. If someone's open, he loves to set them up. But yeah, the little things that he does, sort of, for a big man, you give that a la Bobby Clark, that's sort of fake, and then you throw that cross ice backhand sauce across ice to a streaking, Reinhardt or whoever's going. Vision is excellent. Really humble superstar. And you're right, Nick. I think his presence is really understated in the league. And it's funny, we had this conversation on Saturday. I think too many of us throw best player in the league out there, one of the top 3 in the world out there all the time, because it's easy to say at the moment. But he is a special talent. I wish everybody had a little more availability to watch him play and appreciate what he does. Matches up against all the big guys in the world, for sure.
So you mentioned that Tarasenko came from Ottawa, which, not a lot of great plus minuses out there. But one thing that's going well, your boy's 5th on the team in points this year. He's, as dynamic as usual, 9 goals on the season. How would you qualify this Sens season, not just for him, but the Sens in general? What has gone on this year to make it such an unusual year?
Yeah, I wish I knew. I tend to still think they're a young group.
Mm-hmm.
And I preface that by saying, my son talks about Claude Giroux all the time, and he's cherishing the time that he's had to spend with him. Jacob was fortunate to have a very veteran group in Arizona on the blue line. Ekman Larsson, Hjalmarsson, Demers, Goligoski, and such. But I think I don't know where it went off the rails, because they started off, the preseason was incredible. And I know that's completely different than the regular season. And then, they had some really big victories early in the year. And I'm not sure. I think, maybe obviously on the defensive side of the puck, there was some gray area, I think, structurally and systematically that I don't think everybody was always on the same page, just looking at it from where I was, and some things needed to be addressed. And I do believe, as I look at the Panthers, I mean, to me, they're in like year 5 of what they were trying to accomplish. And I just think it takes time sometimes. And their winning is learned behavior. And to get to that point on a nightly basis is difficult. I think one thing, if I could look back at it, I think the line shuffling and the defensive combinations changing so much has really hurt them. But that's not for me to decide. It's I guess whoever's available on any given night. But I don't know. I think I was on a podcast the other day and I said it'd be really neat to see where this team is come October, because I think there's an opportunity there for them to really turn things around quickly. I do believe that. I think, obviously they struggled in net for a bunch of the season as well. So, but those are, everybody goes through those things. So I don't know. There's a lot of things to put your finger on, and we'll see where they go from here.
Jeff, I'm sure Jacob heard all the rumors about his name being out there again in Ottawa. He already experienced it in Arizona. He's smart enough to understand it's big business. He still has a contract that may be very attractive to other teams. But how was the experience that he went through in Arizona helping him deal with that, at least, up until Friday?
Right. I think they were completely different. And I think he was, going through it in Arizona obviously helped him. Now that was different. He requested a trade in Arizona. So you land in Ottawa with really 2 years left in your deal. Something was going to come up, right? So your name's going to be out there, and it hasn't changed. And I don't know when it will. I guess until you either sign an extension or you are moved. That's just sort of the way of today's game. And they've got some great defensemen locked up for a long time. So we'll see the way it all pans out. But I really appreciate how he prepares himself to play on a nightly basis. And I think he just tried to put his head down and have at it. It's really tough when the team's not winning. And I believe that's his obviously number one goal is, the wins and W's and get in the playoffs. It was part of the reason for wanting to come east. But it's tough. I really hope they're not that far off. But yeah, the trade deadline, I mean, obviously, I don't see how it couldn't affect any individual, quite frankly. But I thought he did a pretty good job of sort of blocking it out.
Well, Jeff, we really appreciate your time, man. What do you got, a tee-off time in about
I am playing him. I don't tell anybody because I'm doing the Panthers Dallas tomorrow too. So looking forward to that.
A life down south. Jeff Chychrun, thanks for doing this, pal.
Hey, thanks for calling, guys. Great talking to you.
Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Panthers TV analyst, Jeff Chychrun.
Kippy, I say this to you a lot.
Yeah. What are you doing? What are you
doing here? Like, you should be with down there covering the Panthers.
This is the Matt Damon speech from Good Will Hunting. Yeah. Listen, you're failing us all being here.
Yeah.
Sure, I could be having a cold one on the 9th hole right now, but being here with you, Sammy,
I'm sure you
have an obligation to the hockey world to educate you a little bit.
Thanks, Kippy. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, looks like a pretty good life he's got down there. But yeah,
Listen,
fun team to follow too.
I think it was Elliot on Hockey Night in Canada spoke of like the push towards the South players wanting to go there. No state tax. We're seeing a push now down
it's
south.
Always had no tax and warm weather, but now you're a good team and people go, okay,
but
let's go.
They asked Gadjevich about his contract extension. He signed a 2-year, and he said, "It's Florida, baby." Was his exact words.
No one's ever gone, it's Columbus, baby.
What's still probably being a little underspoken of, if that's a word, is
I don't think it is
that it's only going to get worse and tougher for certain markets. As the cap goes up, so does the savings for teams like Vegas, Florida, and it becomes even a greater tool than it does today. We're talking about the difference, $10 to $15 million to sign free agents now. Teams in Canada cannot compete with that.
Listen, here in Canada, we already have a little bit of an inferiority complex about it, but we love the scrappy underdog role. Now we're just going to play with a lower cap than the rest of the league.
Awesome.
Here we go. Break this 30-year drought.
I don't know what the answer is, and I'm not here to suggest that there is.
There should be some sort of equity,
I'm starting to buy into you.
Like a percentage of whatever, they should take state tax into consideration for how much you can spend.
Don't know how you do it.
You get to pick one contract you want off the books.
You've won me over on that.
Yeah,
because it's going to get uglier as the cap goes over $100 million.
And you've heard people and agents talk about what you can do in Canada to shelter your money, to get it later, but then you see what Tavares is going through and what Batista went through, and it's just like, I'll just avoid the hassle and just go to the place where it's cheaper. I do think it is something the league needs to seriously consider.
Yeah, will I go to Florida and have a chance to win? And have no one tax me and no one accost me or talk to me about hockey, or go to Toronto and be taxed and be accosted and not win.
Connor Dewar likes it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to remember when I played, and I want to say early 90s, that they had a program for Canadian teams. It was like an equalization program that played off the American dollar.
Oh, yeah. But now it's all in the American dollar, the cap.
No, yeah, it is. But the rate of return was a huge disadvantage to Canadian teams. And I'm not going to pretend I know how it played out.
You're saying it's possible to consider these
But I'm
things.
saying, is there now an equalization program that we can add moving forward that could just, I don't know, tip the scales more favorable for markets like New York, California, and Canada?
Yeah, I actually, throwing in the other states that are highly taxed is a reasonable point too.
But this isn't. See, to me, this is not. It's not even a CBA thing. This is the owners getting together and going, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the rich owners with the no state tax going to the ones that don't have it. Nah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no one's helping them out. It's not coming from the owner's help, I don't think.
I mean, they have a smaller cap. the non-tax teams. I mean, so the the Floridas,
Yeah.
like Vegas, aren't they some tax
Put a
breaks in
pause on
Vegas?
Oh, yeah. And they've just traded for Hannafin.
Hurdle, Mantha.
Yeah, but Hannafin's unique here because everything was pointing to the direction that he's a Boston guy. He wants to get back to the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And last time I checked, Vegas wasn't close to the East Coast.
No.
But they can check off boxes. Number one is he's out of Canada. Number two, it's warm weather.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, no state tax.
I heard that Tomas Hertl immediately, by getting traded from California to Nevada, saves $6 million in taxes.
Oh,
Gets to keep an extra $6 million.
Yeah, like how is that?
I told you, like UFAs could be looking at $15 million
If you do
in
the
difference.
the big deal.
We just got a great suggestion on the text line. Lower the taxes in Canada. Great idea by this guy. I don't know who is a Texan, but that's an excellent suggestion.
So Hannafin could resign if he doesn't care so much about just being on the East Coast. And he doesn't have to sign 7.5 to equal the same amount of money he could have gotten Calgary. That's huge for a team that's already looking like they've
Yeah.
finding loopholes in the system.
There's some attention on Vegas right now between the long-term IR, salary cap, and the tax stuff.
And it'll
so-
pass, and nothing will change.
Correct.
You're correct.
Right?
Yeah. And they'll be hoisting the cup and people will be mad and they won't care.
I'm not convinced of that. I'm not.
Neither
I'm
am
not
I. The West is an absolute, it's a disaster to get through there, but I think there's a chance
There's
they
going
could
to be
be.
a lot of people cheering against Vegas in
There
that
are,
first
for
round.
sure.
I won't be one of them.
No, yeah, well, the Knights guy here.
I won't dare wear that on TV during the playoffs,
No.
but maybe.
You want to go to your game time?
Yeah, we'll rip game time here. Let me get my read ready here. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Now, I was looking at the futures here because the playoff stuff got a little bit more interesting. We're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference that we were talking about off the top of the hour here. So the Detroit Red Wings, who would have been prohibitive favorites to make the playoffs before their long stretch, Vegas still thinks that they have a chance to make the playoffs, a pretty good chance, minus 145.
For Detroit?
Yeah, minus 145, plus 115 to miss. I'm looking down here. The Tampa Bay Lightning are minus 400 to make, and they are plus 300 to miss. So they think they're a pretty big favorite to make.
Mm-hmm.
The Washington Capitals, who are also in that race, are a huge favorite to miss.
Yeah.
They're at minus 600 to miss, plus 400 to make it. And your New York Islanders, Borny, are minus 200 to make it, plus 160 to miss it.
I'm
so
shocked.
So I don't really know where the value is in all those, but I
I'll tell
think let me have it.
Go ahead. What was the Detroit to miss?
Detroit to miss was plus 115.
I like your getting money there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty good spot. The Washington, I can't believe they're minus 600 to miss.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of Capitals fans tell me the Capitals are going for it today. Deadline, they just cut off the dead wood, addition by subtraction. Look out for the Caps. So we'll see if that's just my mentions or reality.
An alumnus of the Capitals, certainly be nice to see them get in.
Yep.
Personally for me, but I just look at that roster and I'm like, they're
I'm with you.
swimming
They're
upstream.
thin. They're thin.
Here was what I was told today. By the way, this is just a bunch of fans. It's not any like heavy, hard hitting inside stuff. But they're saying get rid of Kuzi, who's been a problem. Well, Kuznetsov there, Edmundson, Mantha, who was inconsistent. You make some room for this Lapierre, who's playing well, and Fever, Hari's coming back. I don't know, guys. They believe in the team still down there.
Lapierre,
Oh, and Ovi's getting hot,
McMichael,
right?
and Strome. Those are your centermen. I mean,
I'm not a Caps guy. I think they're missing. So
hey, it'd be great if they, you
Ovi's
want
got
to talk
9
about
goals in 16.
the unknowns.
They play tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. They are pretty favorable underdogs, plus 180 in Winnipeg. We'll play Rick Bonus's thoughts on his team's effort from Saturday night after they got starched by the Canucks on the Hockey Night in Canada. They are minus 220 at home. If you like them, to me, that's a great spot for a minus 1.5 at plus 125. Feels like that's a big bounce back spot after their coach absolutely blasted them. And Barney, your Islanders looking to stay red hot in LA tonight to take on the Kings. They are plus 120. So
Big dogs.
good. No, not huge, but a big dog. Looking decent value for a team that's on a 6-game heater here, going up against the Kings, who I don't think are perfect. So there's a couple looks for tonight. And that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 18 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, let's take a quick break because we've got some nice topics of conversation in our NHL news and notes.
Yeah.
Including the Wild pulling their goalie in overtime to get an extra point.
Love it.
We've got Tortorella suspended and fined. Oh, let's put on our surprise faces for that one.
Can we talk Kyle Clifford too?
And a Kyle Clifford story of old-time hockey at its finest. There you go, Sammy. That and more when we return on Real Kyper and Bourne. Just prior to the break, we were talking Minnesota Wild in a look that we have ever seen since the inception of overtime, where a team pulls their goalie in this situation. It was a 3-3 tie.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up winning on a Boldy goal for a 4-3 win.
Yep.
But it had a lot of people scratching their heads on the gamble of pulling the goalie to try to win a game in overtime.
Truth serum. Did you both know that was the rule?
Okay, hold on. Let's just speak of the rule, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are listening right now that don't know the rule.
Yeah.
And the rule that you're speaking of is if you pull the goalie and your opposing team scores in the empty net, you lose the extra point that you had earned going into overtime.
I did know, and I'm shocked how many people didn't know.
Didn't know.
You didn't know.
It's one of those things where
You didn't.
No, I knew,
Yeah.
but it's been so long
since it's
that
been
I've
relevant.
forgotten,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like, oh my God, like think about it. We've had this rule for like 20 years. It's never come up.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I think they probably anticipated
Yeah.
that it would happen a lot more than it has.
Well, yeah, I think that rule has been a deterrent, but why would we want to deter this?
So I didn't hear any of the post-game comments. My first thought was, did the Wild know this rule?
Yes, they did.
They did.
I mean, absolutely did.
So, and they still wanted to risk
Yeah.
the point.
They need every point. They are 6 points out of a playoff.
I have the quote from John Hines
let's
here.
hear it.
Yeah.
We need 2 points, Hines said. 1 point, 0 points. It's not doing us any good. 2 points, that's what we need.
Okay, but you either score it with a goalie still in, or you get to a shootout. You still have an opportunity to get that point.
This is full desperation, baby. What I like about this.
So I don't understand. What are you
It's a
saying? We
huge
suck.
advantage.
We suck at 3-on-3, or I have no faith in my goalie in a shootout.
Well, we just want to take our chances of having a 4-on-3 on a power play, and we think it's going to help us score before you do.
I don't listen. It
Do I
turned
think
out
it's
great.
a good idea?
It turned out great. It was a hell of a gamble.
It really was big gamble. But I mean, I love his point that it's like you pull the goalie in the game when you think you're going to lose the game. You don't care if you get scored on again. For them, if they get 0 points, the season's over. So what are we not, pulling out all the stops here for? It's a meta pull. They pulled the goalie on the season.
Yeah, and I think 4-on-3 is a much bigger advantage than 6-on-5.
I would agree.
Way more
Yeah,
ice.
Yeah. No, I think it's like if you took the
risky as hell.
percentages
Yeah.
of 4-on-3 power play
scores,
goals,
30% of the time? 4-on-3?
it's higher. I think it's
Yeah.
higher.
Is it? Maybe 35? Something like that. But yeah, it's a big risk.
Are we all under the agreement, though, if in fact the Preds were able to score in the empty net, we would be ripping them beyond belief for losing the point that you had in your back pocket.
I don't think so.
I fully put my hand up.
Yeah.
I would absolutely rip them.
I'd be going.
You threw away a point that you could have used. Maybe it's a point that costs you a playoff spot at the end.
Minnesota has a lot of games played. They only have 17 games left. They have to make up 6 points after getting 2 points. So they would have had to make up 7 if they had got 1 point or 8. To me, it's like if they're sincere about a playoff chase, this was crucial. And so I think I could have defended it. I don't know if I would have. I think I would have. I think I would have.
I think it's a stupid rule.
It's a stupid rule. I'll give you that because
I don't really get.
If you pull your goalie, the other team has like a 60% chance of scoring, and you have a 40% chance.
Like No, here's the thing. To me, the rule is the rule. You've fought all the way through a NHL game where the NHL has deemed it good enough for you to get a point. Where it's like that, to me, if you're tied with the other team, is worth a point. Why the hell should it matter what you do in the 3-on-3? Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. It's a weird, stupid rule, in my opinion.
I think you're right.
Right? Like, it's like, what is it?
He's won me over.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Has that ever happened on our show?
Like, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
Tops. But I don't get it at all. But whatever.
Yeah, go nuts. Pull your goalie.
Oh, you're writing the date down there,
Yeah,
Kyper?
I'm going to write the date down. March 11th
Yeah.
at 5:42 Eastern.
And we'll see if
Yeah.
it happens with the
Sammy
increasing
McKee
frequency. Maybe
said
gets a
something
raise or something. I don't know.
really smart.
Love
Okay,
it.
we got a lot to get to.
Just kind of a follow-up. A week ago, Toronto versus the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
There was like 7 seconds left. Mitch Marner was going to go down the ice on a scoring opportunity to win the game in overtime, and the Rangers took a too many men penalty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So another one of those head scratching.
They threw an extra guy on the ice.
Did you know the rule of awarding a penalty shot if it's deemed deliberate?
I'm going to go ahead and give you the truth again. No.
Didn't know that one either.
In overtime, if the other team takes a penalty late in overtime or just in overtime in general, the ref has the discretion to call a penalty shot,
Yeah.
which they took away a rush from the Leafs.
Yes.
Probably a 2-on-1, was it?
Yes.
For the chance to win the game.
Yeah.
Why not throw an extra guy over the boards every time and sniff that out
I'm
if
with
you're
you.
not going to give up a penalty shot?
I'm with you. If it's the last 20 seconds, throw 7
Yes.
guys out
Throw
there.
the whole team over.
Throw the whole team over.
All right,
Oh,
boys.
no, a
fire,
2-minute
right?
penalty.
Fire
4
drill,
seconds
boys. Let's
left.
go.
5
Who
seconds to
cares?
go.
Throw your
go,
stick
go,
out.
go.
Yes.
But that's why I guess the rule's there because they want to avoid that.
You got to allow it. And so the ref,
But in this
the ref either
instance,
didn't think of the rule or he's a coward.
or it kind of blended in though for a line change a little bit. So there was a little bit
But
of a
if you're
gray
saying
area.
it's too many and they're taking away the rush, I
Yeah.
think you got to call a penalty shot.
No, I'm with you.
All right.
I'm with you.
We're
all
just
right.
all very agreeable.
The Agree show today. What do you want to do? Torts?
Tortorella.
Okay.
Tortorella suspended 2 games. Like we knew there would be a fine coming.
50K is a
But
lot, boys. Holy
2 games.
smokes.
How about the Philadelphia Flyers? I don't know if this is their CEO that
CEO,
just said,
yeah.
"Oh, we'll pay it. We'll pay it. We'll
Said,
pay
I love
anything."
that we all bleed orange or whatever. Like we're going to have his back like he had ours. Culture.
It's a dumb league.
But the players don't get that same benefit when they do something on the ice. If you got paid that fine yourself.
Maybe if they're sticking up for each other like this, they do.
No. That's circumvention of the salary cap.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Can I ask you that Tortorella standing on the bench screaming at one of Gary's beloved henchmen is refusing to go to the locker room is worth 2 games and $50,000, but Jacob Trouba literally slashing a guy in the head is worth $5,000.
Yeah, you're apples and oranges here. You just there's just no. There's nothing to compare, Sammy. Zero.
I think it's
One's-
Bush League from Torts, though. By the way,
This is so out of the box.
Yeah.
I'll give you the equivalent
Okay.
of Tortorella. I get a 2-minute penalty and I refuse to go in the box.
Yeah.
for 10 minutes while we all sit here with what? Our thumbs up, our you know what.
Okay.
Right? You just can't have a guy shut down the game for 10 minutes because
Right.
he's having a temper tantrum.
And while I
conniption.
don't think 2 games is, it seems like a lot or whatever, I do think you have to send a message to all the other coaches that, like, there's repercussions if you want to do what Torts did. If Torts is allowed to do that and they give him a fine that the CEO pays, which, by the way, the CEO saying he would pay that before any sort of ruling came out probably hurt Torts because they had to do something to punish Torts, right?
Added another 25 grand.
No, just I think probably maybe another game. Like to say, we don't care who's paying this, but also you have to miss games now.
I think it's a big time. As Mariah said that I was liking Torts, kind of back.
But
to
didn't
hate him.
Torts
That's
just
the
want
beauty
the
of
ref to
Torts.
come talk to him?
Sorry?
Torts just wanted the ref to talk to him. He wasn't trying to get an answer, right? He
Yeah,
wanted the guy
sure.
to come to the
Yeah.
bench.
He was being so
Well, no
reasonable,
one was gonna
pointing
say-
his broken finger at him the whole time.
Do we know what happened,
No.
by the way? We're just going
He
to...
just hated the call.
He broke his finger? No, I mean his,
His
broken
thumb.
situation.
Is it a thumb? What is it?
I don't know.
It's a bad look. Just go to the locker room, bud. You're down 4-0. Hit the showers. It's a bad
I
look.
agree.
So the comment that you just said moments ago about hating Torts again,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of Torts, is that you can love him and hate him. It's just never happening at the same time.
It's like Willie Nylander. You don't get to enjoy the offense with not getting the defense as well. This part comes with this part.
But I think he adds so much. Like the Flyer fans have not felt this kind of, I don't know, passion.
They're
He
back.
brings passion
Yeah.
into everything he
Give
does.
Keith Jones credit. Since
Yeah.
the moment he got
100%.
hired, this feels like they're trying to be the Flyers again.
Which I couldn't respect more.
Yeah.
Love Jonesy. Love Danny
Didn't
Briere.
trade Konechny. They
He's-
kept their...
they brought them back to life.
Yeah.
We've
And-
lost 2 of our favorite guests to big jobs who've done great at them.
Talk.
Talk and Keith Jones. Seems like they're
Torts.
good at what they do. We were going to mention Rempe and, who's going to have to fight a big mutant tonight, but we are on Vancouver. We should probably talk about how they lost starting goalie for,
He's had a month.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Demko out of the lineup. Did they say?
I'm laughing because it's an obvious thing. Because he's hurt.
What did they exactly say? I did not see the latest report on it.
I just saw that he was out a month. I don't think we have any more than that, do we? Any more
Did they
details?
say specifically lower body, or I don't expect much more than that.
The reality for the Canucks here is, this is a team that really, I want to see these, post trade deadline, see it come together and believe that they can hang with these teams, with Colorado who made big additions and Vegas that made the big additions. DeSmith's a pretty good goaltender, and I think he can keep them in there. But this is a crucial time from them, for
3 to 4 weeks with a knee injury.
is that what it is?
With a knee injury.
Yeah, that's not what you want to hear.
Big stretch of hockey coming up.
Between Demko now and in Vancouver and Mitch Marner in Toronto, like these are those type of injuries that you got to be so careful with, because you don't want them bleeding into a playoff scenario.
What do we
where,
think Marner's is? Do we know?
listen, Marner landed awkwardly. I mentioned that the other day to you.
Weird fall.
He had a weird fall, which means to me that he tweaked his knee, or he's got a sprain,
On the other
an
hand,
ankle sprain,
with these guys,
or he tweaked something.
hope it's not an ankle sprain because those are no joke. I think for both these guys, let's say they come out okay, like they're 3-4 weeks, they're good to go, or whatever the time frame is. They're both guys who are crucial and play a lot of time. One of those things where you're like, if you get through it okay, maybe the break right now is not the worst thing if you're looking for a deep playoff.
That's
That terrifies me for a goalie, though.
That's if you heal it 100%.
Mhm.
And very seldom do guys go in 100%, even with their wear and tear. Groins are
Yeah.
the worst.
Is
because-
this, sorry, for Marner though, is it longer time frame you think than
Well,
just
listen, he did finish the game
Yeah.
that he played the other night in Boston, which lends to you saying, how
be that
serious
bad, yeah.
can it be? Because he did play, but I don't think he played a ton in the third period, but he played. So it's one of those nagging, whatever it is, he can feel it enough to warrant going to the trainers and saying something's not right. So these guys, you get their MRIs right away. They know exactly what they're dealing with, and it's just a matter of what the doctor says. Week, 10 days, 2 weeks, or 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the severity.
So the Canucks beat up on the Jets the other night, and we have a clip from Rick Bowness talking with the Jets, right?
We do have that clip.
He's
That was just ugly.
Would you like to hear what
5-0.
the head coach had to say about it?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's play it.
The bottom line is that's the worst game we have played in my 2 years here, by far, because we didn't have one player play a good game, not one. So it starts there, and it ends there. It's as simple as that.
So none of this was on the Canucks.
Oh yeah, they played a great game, but it's the same team we came in here 3 weeks ago and played. So that's on us. We didn't have one player play a good game, so it starts there.
When you did the line blending,
Well, listen, the line blending, nothing. We had nobody going. It's that simple. Don't overanalyze anything other than that. Again, it's the worst game we've played in the 2 years I've been here, and we didn't have one player play well. So line blending had absolutely nothing to do with anything.
Can't make a good smoothie out of running shoes and dirt, and
I love
can't blend
him
him in any way.
I love that man.
What I love about him is that he's so notorious for being this like beloved, kind, soft-spoken guy, but when his team's bad, he says it.
There's
He
no
says
protecting it. No protecting. Just calls it. With him though, he's not saying anything that they haven't already heard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Which is the key for any head coach.
love Rick
No
Bowness.
surprises through the media. Casey DeSmith. It's okay for you guys?
I think he's all right.
He's had 19 starts this year. He's got a 280 goals against, a 900 save percentage, 911 career. They can survive with him in net.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just...
If there's consistency in their game and they look like the team before they went into their small little funk, I think you should be
they
fine.
have a pretty hearty lead, and they're 10 points up on the Oilers. Oilers have 3 games in hand. But, you're getting to that point of the schedule where you just run out of games at some point.
Last thing we'll mention, Madison Square Garden tonight, Devils, Rangers.
You're teeing up a fight. Are you promoting fighting on the Real Kyper and Bourne show?
Yes. The last time we saw the Devils and Rangers play, Rempe turned Bastion into the extra from a war movie. So there might be some repercussions tonight, considering they traded for Curtis McDermott of Sauble Beach, Ontario.
Listen, I don't bet, but can I put money down on a fight?
I don't think you can, pal.
No, but there's going to be one, I think.
How can there not be?
Yeah, they didn't trade for Curtis McDermott
To not fight him.
Yeah.
To not fight him.
Speaking of, fit this in real quick. So Kyle Clifford got in a little hullabaloo. Plays for the Marlies. Guy who played on the Marlies was on the other team. Kid scores a goal. Sorry, I should mention the kid quit the Marlies with 3 games to go or something in the season last year, and they missed playoffs by a point or 2.
Yeah, it was like he didn't play in a win and get in game.
Scores against the Marlies, goes down the bench and pumps it out, celebrates.
Right by the bench. Which is a no-no in any era.
Yeah, next shift, Kyle Clifford just chased the kid around. Good old-fashioned. The kid went full turtle. It really looked like a scene out of the 1990s.
Like, you're underselling full turtle.
Oh, it's the worst turtle I've ever seen.
I've never seen someone stay in the shell so long after the violence was
This
happening.
guy was in the ice deeper than the Canadian coin at the Olympics.
How about Clifford? Down there, 2 cups, down there,
Just
grinding
cares,
away,
just cares.
caring, hockey guy through and through, hockey lifer. Love it. My boy Cliffy.
There you go.
There's our
That
violent
sums up
portion
our
of the show.
All right, how many games on
4.
tap?
4 games.
4. Pick your game. Enjoy it. We're back tomorrow on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Our thanks to Jeff Chychrun for joining us. Give us a rating and review if you get a chance. Have a great night, everybody.